Hey guys. Yeah, another nice day to go riding. 69 degrees, a little windy, but yep, out on the GS. What else? Because I'm still deciding what I want to do. I know what I want to do. I know I need to add another bike. I need to. I just want to. I know the grass is not always greener. This bike is just a super all-around bike, and but I just want to experience something different. And you know, I might wind up just buying something and selling it because I don't like it. But I'm still leaning towards that Tuono 660 and the factory model. I mean, the other ones you can get, but I want the factory, and it just comes with a couple more standard features, and I just want that one. I like the paint scheme, and I like the bike, but we'll see. That's, you know, it's still a little bit ways off. So, you know, I mean, got some racing coming up. I won't really have time to be looking at bikes or anything like that. So it's just something to think about, you know. But I'm always looking for that next one. I know it. I'm just looking for that. I don't know. Like I said, just something different. But so I just want to talk about all the bikes I've ridden in the last 3 years, and it's been a lot. But I mean, not a lot of them for a long term. But you know, I would say at least 4 or 5 of them, and I'll go through them and basically compare it to the GS, because the GS to me is the all-around bike. Some guys say me that may not be a fair comparison, you know, with different types of bikes, but to me it is, because when you hop on a bike, you want it to be a lot of things. You know, I mean, if you want a sport bike, yeah, you want to be fast, you want to hit the turns and the twisties real hard, but you know, you can't do that for the whole ride. And I guess you could, and you kind of ride where you're going, and you want to be comfortable, and that's what I want. I want something that's comfortable, but that's also fun to ride, and that's what the GS is. So let's go with the first one. The first bike I'm going to compare it to is the first new bike I bought in late 2018. It's a 2018 Triumph Speedmaster. It's 1200 cc, makes like 80 horsepower, 80 pounds of torque. I've done a tune on it and got rid of the cat, so that's what I'm roughly thinking it makes. Maybe at the rear wheel, maybe 75 and 75. It weighs about 580 pounds. It's a real fun bike. It's a retro bike, but it has lots of, you know, it's got cruise control and fuel injection and anti-lock and all that stuff, ABS, and it's an absolute blast to ride. And I put a lot of miles on it the first year. I put like 8,000 miles on it the first year. I got it, like I said, late 2018, and technically it was a leftover. I got it a super good deal, and I'm pretty lucky with bikes. I've been really getting good deals on new bikes where it's kind of hard to get them, you know, whether they're a leftover or a demo model or whatever. So that bike is, I still have the bike. I love the bike, but it's only an hour bike for me, a couple hours in the saddle. It just gets old, and as far as the suspension is concerned, it doesn't handle as well, even though I think it handles pretty good for a 580 pound bike. I compare it to like the Softail Harleys and Indians and stuff like that. It's a little bit smaller, has a little bit less weight, and so it has a little bit more power. You know, I think the Scout would be really close to what the Indian Scout would be close to, but the Indian Scout's is similar weight but faster because it's got another 20 horsepower. But yeah, so that bike compared to this, you know, it's just a hopper. That's all it is. It's just a bar hopper. And but I really do like getting on it. It's got a comfortable position. I feel very comfortable on it, but the suspension is just not there. No matter how good you put you know, a set of shocks in the front and back, and it's just not going to perform like a bike like this. It's just not made for that. And but I do like it. And then let's move on to the next bike. Let's see. So my brother picked up a Roadmaster, 2018 Roadmaster. So it's the top of the line, elite, top of the line, equal to, I guess, a CVO Harley. And I took that for a ride a couple times, and I was very impressed with the maneuverability and how agile it was when you were riding on it. When you were riding it. It was impressive. I didn't think a big bike like that could handle that well, and it was very comfortable. Lots of wind protection, but when you pulled up to a stop sign like I'm doing right now, man, it you felt the weight of it. You know, I know a lot of guys say, wow, these GSs are so heavy. Well, man, you ain't been on a heavy bike until you've been on that bike. It's almost 1,000 pounds. But it's very comfortable. It's got lots of bling, which I don't like, lots of chrome, and the paint is gorgeous. It's this blue sparkly paint. And I've done these reviews. I've done a review on it, and you'll see it, but you have to go through it. I guess I could put links, but I'm going to talk about so many bikes. It's not worth it. If you want to go back and look at my videos, you can see that I took it for a ride. It had a lot of torque, but, you know, when you just twisted that throttle, it was just like, yeah, I felt like I was driving a diesel truck. Not that it was a bad thing, it's just that, you know, very low RPM. But, you know, you got up to 60, 80, 90 miles an hour really fast, but it's just not my cup of tea. And I know it's the bike to go on long distance and everything, and if you like all that bling, it's a beautiful bike, but it's just not my cup of tea, and it doesn't have the sportiness I want in a bike. I know you have to give up a little bit here and there, but you don't really have to give up a lot for a sporty bike, unless you want a super sport bike. So there's plenty of options out there, and that just wasn't for me. So, and then I also hopped on my buddy's. He has an Indian Dark Horse, which is a similar type of bike, but it's all blacked out and everything. And it kind of felt the same way. It had a little bit more power because he had the bigger motor. I think he had the 116. My brother had the 111, and it was a similar type bike, heavy bike, fun. You know, felt a little more power, but still not, you know, not my cup of tea. So my buddy winds up getting what did he buy first before the he bought a 1600, a B1600, I'm sorry, a K1600B BMW, and we traded bikes. I didn't go for a long ride on that, but I'll go through a quick story just before I tell you about the K1600. It felt extremely sporty, even for a big bike. I think it weighs like 750, but and it had that 6-cylinder in it. Very smooth, super smooth. I didn't really go crazy with it, but I did get on it, and man, it gets up there quick. It's a quick bike. I mean, in fact, we've drag raced, well, road raced, and we were neck and neck with this bike. It depends who got the jump would stay ahead. That bike's a quick bike. I think it makes like 160 horsepower. So yeah, but that bike was big. I didn't like, and I'm not a big fairing person, and it had a big fairing on it. It was cool looking. It looked like an overgrown sport bike, but, you know, and I liked it, but I didn't like it enough. I mean, I was almost going to buy the GT version, the 1600, the K1600 GT, but I just said, you know, it's a big bike. I just don't want that big of a bike. Even though I like to cruise on the highway, I think I can get it in a smaller package, and so I didn't go for it. In fact, when I was at the dealer, boy, this is going to be a long video, guys. When I was at the dealer, I was looking at the 900, the F900 XR, and this is kind of a new bike that BMW came out with. I wasn't impressed with the engine. I took it for a ride. No wow factor. It was a small bike. It was very sporty, handling and everything like that. A little on the firm side, but it didn't have all the adjustable suspension and stuff like that. And I was going to wait and maybe I'll test a better, you know, the upgraded model, but it just didn't wow me. I was just, you know. Meanwhile, my buddy's jumping on the 1600, and he says, you know, I got to get this, and he just wanted to buy it, even though he had a cruiser already, the Dark Horse. But whatever. So when I was at the dealer, I'm going to go real quick. When I was at the dealer, I test rode a when I test rode this, I also test rode a Tiger 800 Triumph, and I was extremely impressed with that bike. I'm so impressed with the bike that I was almost thinking about getting it because it was so smooth. That triple was so smooth. It had power. I wouldn't say it's as fast as the GS, but it was just smooth bike, and it rode and handled really nice because it wasn't really a heavy bike, not like the 1200s. And but yeah, so I was on that bike, and I comparing it to the GS. It felt a little bit lighter than the GS, but it didn't handle better than the GS. But it handled good, but it didn't have the torque that the GS has. So, but I was impressed with it. So I was really impressed with it. And I know the new 900s are really, you know, the GT, the new Tiger GTs are really nice. But so that's another bike I've been on. So now you were talking about what, 4 bikes now, and so, but it's still, it doesn't have what this bike has. So all those bikes are still not they're not comparable. I mean, they don't wow me over to buy that bike as my one and only go-to bike. And then I got to ride my buddy. He wound up getting a lot of different bikes. So I'm the same buddy who bought the 1600. We're looking at Ducatis one day, and I'm just saying, you know what? I want a scrambler. So I want something I can knock around with. So we went to a Ducati dealer, and we test rode he test rode a Diablo. Nice. That's a cool looking bike. I forget what model. I think it was the S, whatever. But it was just real nice with the upgraded suspension and everything, and it was nice. So we test rode that. He test rode that, and I was at the dealer. I said, let me jump on a 1100 Scrambler. And you know, the guy goes, no problem, take it out for a ride. So I took the Scrambler out for a ride, the Ducati, and it was a 2019. I wasn't crazy about the color. It was like pastel gray. I don't really like that color. And so yeah, so I wasn't impressed with it. It just didn't impress me at all. It sounded really good, but again, it just didn't do it for me. I said, nah, maybe I don't want a Scrambler. You know, it handled nice and everything, but the power was okay. I mean, I had 1100. I thought it would be a lot quicker, but whatever. But then, so I decided not to get it, and he decided to get the Diablo, and we switched bikes. I think I had my Scrambler at the time. We'll get to that in a minute. And we switched bikes, and I took it for a ride, and I didn't take it for a long ride. And I felt the handling was okay. It has that big tire in the back, so it doesn't turn in as easy, but it turned in pretty good. And the power, I didn't really beat on it because, you know, it's my buddy's bike. And but the power is just absolutely amazing. That I could get addicted to real quick. But comparing it to the GS, it's a one-trick pony. It's you know, we've raced, and I got another video about that. We roll raced, and up to 95 miles an hour, I was with him, and all of a sudden that thing just started to walk away from me. And but I don't know. It just doesn't. It's not the do-it-all bike for me. The seating position wasn't bad. Kind of like my Speedmaster. The ride was better than the Speedmaster, no doubt. But I don't think that's the bike I'd want to have my go-to do-it-all bike. So now I want to get another bike, and so my buddy's just having a ball with his Ducati, and so I said, you know what? I think I'm going to go with the Triumph Scrambler. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but I bought that Scrambler without even test riding it. I bought the XC. The price was another killer price on it. They took $2,500 off it was in 2019. You know, and it was the top of the line. They had the bags, it had the lights, it had the auxiliary lights, it had everything on it, heated grips. It had everything on the bike. It was just, it was black, and I just really liked it. And but it's kind of like a GS in a way, but a naked GS. But it didn't have the ride quality. It was on the firmer side, but it didn't beat me up, but it was on the firmer side. I never really took it off-road. I really liked the bike, and I still wish I had the bike, but it just didn't compare to the GS. It was just not there. It was fun to ride. You sat up high. Well, I like to sit up high. I did like the seat because it was a big banana seat, the long, you know, slide back and forth. Wasn't as comfortable as this seat, but that was kind of just a hop around bike. You know, I used to go to the store with it a lot, and I really miss that bike. But it's no GS. It's not GS. All right, it was cheaper, no doubt about it. You know, I got it for like $12,000 out the door, and then normally like 14, and so the GS is almost twice as much. So you know, but it had a lot of good stuff on it. It really did. It was a really, really nice bike. So, but it still doesn't compare to this bike. So then we move on to, let's say, something stupid like not still stupid, but the bike I did for my brother, the KZ650. Yeah, that bike, there's no comparison. It's a fun bike, but it's not. There's no comparison to that in the GS. It just can't. It can't do anything better than the GS. So, so let's move on to the next one. Oh, well, I did ride my buddy's wife's bike. Not long, but it's a Honda CBR 500. you know, it looks like kind of like a sport bike, but it's not. It's got a, you know, the pegs are like right below your shoulders. It's not, you don't really, not in a really a sporty position, and it didn't have any torque whatsoever. But it was fun. It felt almost a little like my Supermoto, you know, but it had a little more power. Obviously, it had a lot more power, but and it was fun, but obviously, definitely not for me at all, because it just didn't have the torque or the power of, you know, that I would like in a bike like that, and, you know. But so I did ride that, and it was just a short ride. So, and I've been on a Harley Road Glide, but also very short. But it felt like my brother's, very big. When you moving, obviously it felt good, but the suspension, I wasn't really thrilled with the suspension all, because it has no travel, a little bit of bump, boy, you feel every little. The road's smooth. It's a beautiful bike, you know, wind protection nice, but that I don't. What else have we been on? Obviously, I've been on my buddy's Suzuki, his 750 Gixxer. That's basically the, you know, the naked version, upright version of a Gixxer with a little less, you know, detuned, obviously. And that was a nice bike. It leaned over a little bit more than I would like, but it rode real nice and handled nice. It's very flickable. It was a nice bike, especially for the price. It was definitely a nice bike, but it still doesn't compare to a GS. I can do everything that bike can do. There's nothing that bike can do that I can't do on this bike. Now, me and my buddy roll race. We kind of just kid around lots of times. Like he'll get on it, and then, oh man, I just blew your doors off. I blew your doors off. I just blew you away. But you know, that's just us horsing around. Pretty much, I remember racing him one time, and I'm in second gear with all the torque, and it took a while for him. That took a while, but he caught me, but it took a little bit because this thing has so much torque, and that bike you gotta wring it out, and then you really get the power. So yeah, so it's still, it doesn't compare to this, and yeah. So what's the next one? I've been on so many different ones, and I just can't. All right, well, I'll just jump into, because I can't really think of the other one. I'll jump on something that's really comparable to this, and that was Zach. I just met the dude, cool guy, and he took me off road, you know, gravel roads and stuff like that, and we switched bikes. And he liked the torque of this bike, and I kind of liked the idea that it was an automatic in a way, but I'm a clutch guy. I don't think I'll ever go to an automatic, because I do like the stick. I do like the clutch. I'm thinking of cars. And riding that, I was very impressed with it. Its ride quality was super nice. He had the suspension set up for him more, so it was a little bit firmer, but not firm where it beat you up. It was just, it kind of felt like the GS. It handled really good. It didn't have tires like mine, but it handled really good. I was very impressed with the handling. I could see myself purchasing one of these if I would have test rode them, not knowing about the GS, because, you know, I wasn't really looking for this type of bike. I just happened to, you know, test ride it, and wow. So yeah, so I do whatchamacallit. That bike was really nice in a lot of ways, but it did lack one thing. It just didn't have the torque. Like, and you know, if I roll this thing in second gear, it's just got so much torque. So it just didn't have the torque. Higher RPM, you get the RPMs up, yeah, but you found yourself, when you nailed it, downshifted a lot, because obviously you've got to keeps itself in the power range, you know. So yeah, so still didn't. Well, I think it's a great bike, but it's just down on power, because I'm used to this bike with this power, so I want the same or more. And so, but it handled really good. I think with a set of tires like this, it would have probably equaled the handling really great. You stopped it. That had a lot of suspension travel, so you did get a little bit of nosedive, but it's still no GS for me. It's just not for me. I like the bike, but it's just something I wouldn't get, because I've been spoiled with the GS. So yeah, I got to take a quick break, guys, and I'm going to be back. All right, guys, we're back. Yeah, just we finished up with the Honda Africa Twin. Great bike, very comparable to this bike, but it's just not sporty enough for me. It may even be a better off-road bike, you know, but it's just not. It doesn't have the power of this bike, so I just don't want to sacrifice any more power. And not that I'm sacrificing, but it has to be this or whatchamacallit. And then it has to be this or something more. And I got my Supermoto, my KLX Kawasaki, and and that's a 2022. It's an absolute fun bike, but it's not in the same league. It's not even close. It's my pit bike. I know some guys may use it as the regular bike, but for me, it's not close. It's just not. It's not even. So, and another bikes that are not even close that I've been on, Gixxer 600. Friend of mine bought the friend that has the 750. He had a Gixxer for a while. In fact, I picked it up for him and test rode it, and whew, I love the way they look. But man, I wasn't all long, but I wasn't comfortable at all. Turning radius absolutely is terrible. To make a U-turn was absolutely terrible. But it was fast. I mean, I just rolled on it in third gear, and I looked down, and I'm doing 120 with a blink of an eye. Super light bike and everything like that. But it's just something. That's why sport bikes, I love the way they look. Just that short ride, it didn't do it. Did nothing for me at all. So that's another one. So I've been on a lot of different bikes, and all different ones riding. And oh Jesus, that was ugly. That was a I went right over it, but that looked like a turkey buzzard or a vulture, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what they call them in here. That's what it looked like. Pretty nasty hip. Yeah, so I've been on the Ducatis and the older Kawasaki. Haven't been on any, I've been on the Suzuki, the 750, the Gixxer, the 600. So I've been on a lot of different bikes that vary. My Supermoto. So, I've been on lots of different bikes, from, the smallest of a Grom to the heaviest, the Roadmaster, the Indian. And this bike seems to be the old bike. I know I'm repeating myself again, but I have to repeat myself, because when you ride so many different bikes, you're giving up something with these other bikes, but you may not be. I'll have to check myself on that. It may be all you need. So, but for my needs, it's a little bit different. My needs, obviously, I like to be sporty. I like to cruise. I like to relax. I just like it all. And so, yeah. So that's it. So you guys have, got a pretty much good handle on the bikes I've ridden in the last 3 years, and obviously which one I like the most, and which one is going to be next. And who knows? One of these days you're gonna pop up with the Tuono and say, "Hey guys, I did it." So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Though I could change my mind. I'm always changing my mind. That's my problem. I get, what it is. I get bored very easily. And though I love this bike, I want to experience something different. I do jump on my Speedmaster for different, but I want something different. So that's the dilemma I'm in. So with that, guys, I'm just headed where I don't even know where I'm headed. I'm just following the GPS, and it's just a beautiful day. It's 70 degrees. I got some extra whatchamacallit on that I don't need. I don't know if I should be turning here or not, but we're gonna see. And I'll be shedding that. I'm just going to stop someplace. Maybe I'll stop at one of the lakes that I visit, because I'm pretty close. Just kind of hang out. But that's it, guys. So you guys know where I'm at with all the bikes I've ridden. That's kind of my 3-year history riding. I don't want to get into the past. That's really boring. So you guys don't want to hear that. So all right, guys, that's it for now. And I'm going to have a video soon, I'm sure.